Five Nights at Freddy's is a cult classic, being popular with the 8-year-olds of 2015 and the 8-year-olds of today. With 13 games, it's clearly a franchise that needs no introduction. Five Nights at Freddy's is split into two eras, the Scott era and the post-Scott era. The Scott era focuses on the click team fusion gameplay, heavy emphasis on resource management, and claustrophobic environments. We won't be talking about that era today. There's also the modern era. Scott has no more involvement as we follow mediocre free roam survival horror that has mediocre gimmicks at best. I'm Banks, I'm a game designer, and let's see what the future of this franchise takes us. Welcome, here you're looking to invest. Well, lucky for you, I got a perfect opportunity. FNAF, a franchise worth $1.2 billion with a B. You know, you never knew some kid game could make us so much. Anyways, I'm Banks, I'm an executive, and let's see where this cash cow takes us. That was a bit weird. Anyway, it's clear that Five Nights at Freddy's is moving towards a more marketable direction. And while I don't think it's possible or even wise to make a U-turn, why don't we just make a more scenic route? Five Nights at Freddy's Outsiders. Five Nights at Freddy's has a clear focus on lore, so we should move in on that. Let's focus in on an adult character named Detective Emily, who's investigating a strange pattern of earthquakes happening at the abandoned Pizzaplex. Now, of course, there will be lore and stories to talk about, but that's not what I'm here to focus on today. Let's talk gameplay. The entire story will be attempting to actually enter this Pizzaplex. It's a first-person point of view game. That's kind of how the direction of the game's going, so I think we should keep going that way. To aid in this, we have the van, a vehicle we can use for small platforming and environmental puzzles, while also giving us the defining feature, survival mode. Throughout the nights, we will progress through a rigid system based off plot events revealing more story about the world. At 10 p.m., however, time works in a normal manner, giving the player some time to prepare for an attack. Emily must attach cables throughout a new location every night, connecting cameras, speakers, and doors and other unique objects they can control back at the van. If he doesn't connect all the wires, nothing happens. It's a risk-reward system. It's almost impossible to connect every wire, so the player's gonna needs to be fast and get as many as possible. At midnight, Emily returns to the van and animatronics attack. Each animatronic has a basic AI that remains the same, but with new locations every night, they'll behave a bit differently too. Now, Scott era FNAF was good at introducing new ideas every night, and this game is really going to emphasize this pressure, as each night is going to have entirely new facilities that focus in on one main mechanic. For example, a vent-crawling animatronic may work at a chemical plant, an area with a load of clear vents, or a door-opening animatronic that works at a hotel. Very intuitive. With a great final level at the abandoned Pizzaplex, I'm sure to bring plenty of lore bits and a great gameplay experience. Alright, I bring you FNAF Sports. You see, Fazbear Entertainment bought the Olympics. Play as Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, as they pole vault, swim, run, but with a horror twist. Each of these games will have insidious shadow creatures hunting down the player. The player needs to escape them before returning to the sports, keeping up the casters happy, yeah? The player hatches in a plan to escape, discovering all these robots are consciousness scanned into robots for entertainment. Throw in some puzzles revealing the player's a prototype of Gregory. Boy, we got a jackpot. Ugh, there's like a bad taste in my mouth. Anyway, on to the next game, Five Nights at Freddy's Escape. Let's head back to Cassie as we play as her once again. After surviving in the Pizzaplex for weeks, she is severely malnourished, weak. Gameplay is now slow and deliberate. Every move is forceful. It's shown she lost her mask a while back, yet she still somehow has the powers it gave her. In fact, they've actually grown with her. She now has the ability to link with the decrepit animatronics and control them. At the beginning of the game, she's trapped doing food runs with Chica, who is able to fit through a small gap and go back and forth from the kitchen. As Chica heads to the kitchen, we get the tutorial of how controlling these animatronics work, and putting the camera down to pull levers and press buttons to allow Chica to actually get to the kitchen. However, once Chica reaches the end of the path, she falls into a pit that manages to collapse right under her. Cassidy loses connection and takes control of Roxanne, making her way down the pit after apparently some shoddy repairs to her. For a majority of the game, Cassidy is trapped in the same room, only having access to a few controls and a small stream of water. Every now and then, an animatronic will find something that opens a new room that gives her more context and more tools in her room. The main gameplay loop will be to take control of the different animatronics that have all different abilities and switch back to Cassidy to complete some small puzzles throughout the Pizzaplex. She lasts here for 4 days straight, usually falling asleep during the day. On the final night, she finds a way to escape, opening the outside doors. However, animatronics attempt to enter the room to kill her. Using her ability, she can control them for a short time, but there are a large amount of them. She needs to survive until Roxanne makes it to her and rescues her. Pushing animatronics into corridors and closing them off by possessing them, she manages to force them into long detours, which allows her to survive, meeting a... Now we have enough spin-offs, let's get back to the main deal. FNAF security restructure. So Gregory's still good, as it turns out. Last time it was just the Mimic, all the way up to the end. Of course it makes sense. Either way, that map pack guy will solve it. Just recycle the assets from security breach, make things cheaper. So now Cassie's trying to reinstate the security. Make that mask have a gun or something that makes things translucent. Give some new puzzles. We have her meet up with Gregory, trapping off the Pizzaplex for good. Before Vanessa walks in from the shadows, seeing the mask, Vanny gets the flashbacks from when she was controlled by William. See, what do the writers mean? I can do lore just fine. Anyway, have some collectibles that get different endings, and let's just call it a day. Something's up. I'll fix it later. Anyways, final game for today, the Final Nights at Freddy's. We're gonna give a nice bow to the series. If we want to do more with the universe, sure, but the Afton storyline needs to end for good. After Casey manages to escape to Detective Emily, reveal that animatronics are roaming the city, never attacking anyone. No one knows why they are doing this, but if they attack one of the animatronics, they always respond. Days are vibrant and relatively fine, but much shorter, mostly a glorified menu to strategize for the nights ahead and giving straight answers to lore from a hidden character who is either the Mimic, Gregory, or some mysterious third party. At night, a violent curfew is put into place. However, these are apparently the only times in which Casey's abilities work, allowing them to move undetected. Each night takes them to a new location, each being the remnants of an old Five Nights at Freddy's location. A dentist that was once a pizza parlor, an animatronic museum, the remains of a burnt down haunted house, a rundown house with a secret lab underneath it. At each location, both members must survive until day, being extremely similar to old FNAF mechanics. Each location playing similar to how they originally did in their respective games. As they attempt to put the final keys into place as what's happening, they find a yellow piece of a yellow bear suit at each location. Finally getting back to the Pizzaplex, putting an end to the Mimic, and finally putting him back together. For this game, there's nothing special. Recognizing that FNAF has evolved to a more humorous world while also showcasing the horror elements that it was always there. But more importantly, it did what it was required. It put an end to Five Nights at Freddy's. Now that's not all. FNAF Cart, FNAF Party. You know the old jokes games Scott made, Fazbear in Space or something. Let's make it a full game. The fans will be happy to see that throwback. We'll make a new one again and again and again and again and again. FNAF forever. We're not gonna be like Undertale, Fez, Cuphead. No, we are Mickey. We are Mario. We are Pokemon. We will never die. We are going. You know, sometimes things need to end. We'll always have new stories to tell. If there's money to be made, it'll be exploited. But there can still be passion. There hasn't been passion in Five Nights at Freddy's for a long time. If it dies now, we'll go out whimpering. Still a bit of life left, but heading towards a path that will definitely extinguish it. In the best case scenario, Five Nights at Freddy's would have died years ago, right at Ultimate Custom Night. But it hasn't, and we can't change that. Hopefully someone up there will realize that, give it a good send-off, and finally end it. But who am I kidding?